Hello and welcome to my third video on writing and publishing. Obviously in the first video we talked about plotting versus pantsing and planning your novel and getting ready to start it. In the second video we talked about writing that first chapter, first paragraph, first line, the importance of it, and a few tips and a few ideas to try and take on board. In this video I want to talk about chapters and lengths. The first question you're going to ask is how much should I write? I want to write this story. How long should it be? And it depends what genre you're writing in as to what the right answer is. As a guide, when we talk about novels, novelettes, short stories and so on, we tend to think, give or take, 6,000 words or so is a short story. Could be as low as 2,000. I think around 10,000 words we're talking about a novelette. Again, a long short story could come into that kind of length. Maybe something a little bit more than that would still be classed as that. If we get up to around about the 20,000 words, we're then talking about something like a novella. And if we get to 60,000 words, then we're talking about a novel. That's roughly the sort of word count to what classification of story it's going to be. 60,000 words is a short novel. Some genres it may even be too short and your readers will end up feeling a bit shortchanged. Really, a novel, probably for most genres, you probably want to be looking at 90,000 or thereabouts. If you go to something longer, say 120,000, that might be great, but if you're a new author and you're trying to get yourself traditionally published and you present a literary agent with a 120,000 word novel as your debut, that might put them off because the costs of binding and printing a book of that size is going to be that bit greater, and there's a little bit more of a risk involved. Certainly that's what I was told some time ago. So that's maybe not an ideal length for your debut novel. You should probably be somewhere between the 60,000 and the 90,000. In terms of short stories and novelettes and novellas, short stories are great in compilations. You're probably going to struggle to sell one as a standalone on Amazon. Same is true as a novelette or a novella. And when you're writing a short story as well, the way to write a good short story is to write a bit of a longer story. You have to imagining it as jumping on a bus at one stop, being there for part of the journey and then jumping off at the next stop. You should probably really only have one protagonist in a short story, maybe two, and they should go through some sort of change. Again, there should be something that that develops the character within that frame, but you're not going to write somebody's life story in that. It's going to be an event within somebody's life which changes them, and that's what you've got to go for. Chapters. Do you want chapters? I would say for short stories, novelettes, no. You probably don't want chapters. Anything above that, I think chapters are going to be purely optional, and it's going to be depending on what sort of style you're going for and what you're trying to write. For example, if the novella size of a book, my Death for an Art prequel called Lady Death, that was around 20,000 words and that had chapters. But they were entirely optional. Didn't actually need chapters really. I like chapters in longer books, but they are optional. I would say probably if you're going for 60,000 words plus, unless you feel strongly about not having chapters, and you specifically don't want to have chapters, I would have chapters. Now, the next question is, okay, we're going to have chapters. Do we just go for numbers, or do we have some sort of title explaining what the chapter's about, or giving a bit of a tease as to what's happening? In my experience, I've always tended to do chapter titles. So it might be chapter 1, The Awakening. And it's great, it gives your readers something to straight away be interested about. Oh, that's the chapter title. What's that about? The trouble is, there's a pitfall with this, and it's you can write a chapter title which kind of spoils the story a bit for the next section. You know, if you call chapter 2 Bandits, straight away you know that there's going to be an encounter there with some bandits in that chapter. You've kind of given the game away a bit, which you may want to do or you may not want to do. If you then make chapter 3 A Narrow Escape, then you've immediately given away what happens in that chapter, and your reader will know that your protagonists are going to escape, unless you're being really subversive and you turn the table and make it so the bandits have to escape from the protagonists. But you see what, it's a good thing to have chapter titles. You can grab your readers' interest with, give them a bit of a tease about what's coming up, maybe make them want to read the chapter to find out what that title's about, but you want to avoid giving the game away too much and just telling them exactly what's going to happen. I hope that's been helpful. I'll have a think about what we're going to do for the next video in this series, and sorry this is the short one, but there's really not too much to say about it. We've got the lengths: 6,000 your short story, 10,000 your novelette, 20,000 for a novella, and then 60 plus for your novel. But you probably really, for your debut novel, want to be aiming at something around this, 75 to 95,000, probably, depending on the genre. That's what you want to be looking at. Chapters, probably not a good idea for these shorter stories. The novella, maybe if it fits it, but I think unless you've got a reason not to, I would go for chapters in anything which came into this novel category here. And then, do you do chapter titles or not? You don't need them, but it's kind of a missed opportunity to give your readers a little bit of a tease to read on. You've got to think, if you're publishing on Amazon, you might have decided to put it in Select, and you put that in Amazon KDP Select, and the more your readers read, the more you get paid. So if you've got a book that's got chapter titles, which when they hit that chapter title, it makes them want to know what's going to happen and get them to read to the end of that chapter, that's going to be better for you. It's going to be better for the algorithm, and it's a good way to get people to read on. Just watch that, giving the game away. Try not to completely spoil what's going to happen in the next scene with that chapter title. Thanks for watching. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one.